morning, good morning, good morning. We got one person out there. I'm setting up, and it is Mitzi. Hi, Mitzi. Good morning, Mitzi. This is Mary at the.meri.atelier, and today is Saturday. I do not usually stream early in the morning on Saturdays, but hi, Arlene. Today is a special day because this is hashtag Slow Stitch with Me with Susan Hiles. And that is an open collab. And I thought I would show you what I'm working on first. Then I might do some things. Yeah, it's Saturday morning. I have time. So here's my colleague, Penelope. She's my pincushion doll. She's my studio mascot. I've had her for years and years and years and years. And she's got all wrapped up in blue thread from last night. All right, let me sit down here and get situated. Welcome to my desk. Welcome to my desk. I'm still standing up. I used to stand up during all my streams. How did I do that? Standing up that was before I had an extra tablet to read chat with. Oh, hi, Arlene. Hi, Brenda D. Good morning, Brenda D. Hi, Mitzi. Okay, so what I have here, I'll show this one to you first. Well, actually, this is the journal I was working on, the recipe journal that I was working on last night. I'm still a little bit unhappy about the clunky pieces here, but I've got it all put in, so I'm going to go with them. My next journal will not be that clunky on this side. This side I'm really happy with. They're nice and neat. This other side, well, actually, this was my first scoring, and I scored through thin paper and fabric, and I had to deal with it to learn what I needed to do, and then by the time I got over here, I figured it out, but it's okay. You know, I might just put something on one of these to cover up most of that. We'll see what happens. But that wasn't what I was going to show you. This is the fabric journal that I'm going to work on today. And we'll open that up in a bit. This is what I wanted to show you. Let me stand up to do this. This is a piece that I designed and stitched in 2013. And I stitched this for a dear friend, a St. Louis friend who passed away. And they were sorting out her things, and some of her needlework friends were sorting out things. And one of them messaged me here recently and said, "Mary, do you want this back? Would you like to have it back?" And I said, yes, thank you. But see, I used to do these scissors in all sorts of designs. I got the 12 Days of Christmas with these scissors, and I think those are out on Fibsville if you're interested in those complementary patterns. Don't sell the pattern, but you can go out there and grab the pattern if you stitch. Right here, that is the stem of the pumpkin right there. And then I've got the pumpkin and the sunflower, and I got a little ribbon going through it like that, and some fall leaves. And this, my goodness, this was stitched. I'm not sure I could stitch on this fabric with my eyes today. This was stitched over one, and this looks like 25 count maybe. I'm not sure. But I stitched it over one, and when you say over one, you stitch one thread over each little thread in there. Maybe if I had super magnification, I could do it today. But I have this hanging out on my lamp. My lamp has a little hook right by the shade, and I can hang this on there. This is kind of a pride and joy for me. But yeah, I did this in 2013. And here are the different sampler stitches. I think this is just a satin type stitch, and then a cross stitch, and then this is a queen stitch here. And these are cross stitches, and then these are just satin type up and down. And then, of course, the cross stitches for everything else. And then I had some fall leaves on the back. So it's one of my pride and joys. So let me put this aside. And, let's see. I'll show you what else I'm working on here. I'm working on this when I stitch with my friends on Monday afternoons. This is a kit, 2007. I've had it for years. And I have stitched several of these different limited editions. I have one here at home with me someplace. I need to find it. But this is how far I am on it. What you see there on the back is what's on the back. And this is, I think this is, well, this might be 20. I forget what count of fabric. It came with the kit. Now I'm curious. Let's get out the pattern. It doesn't say. Stitch count is 110 by 69. It doesn't say what count this. Oh, 28 count. This is 28 count. But it's easier to stitch on this. I see it's got a little linen flaw in there. That's okay. I'll probably stitch over that. This is easier to stitch because it's over 2. I should get this out and work on it some more. And then I have a little piece in here that I might, let's see what I have here, how far I've gotten. I might, when you take things out, you frog them. This is just a piece of linen. Well, I don't know. I might leave it. I was just doing a bird here. I was going to do an ornament. I go to different things. Sometimes when I was doing this, I lost my needle. My needle's in here now, the one I'm using. But I lost my needle, so I couldn't stitch on this. And so I had gotten out this, and that's as far as I got on it. And then I set that aside. Sometimes I set things aside for different reasons. I get tired of stitching on it, or I'm one of those people that can bop from project to project, and it does not bother me. There are a lot of people out there, they'll work on one thing, and they'll get it done. I'm not one of them. I go from project to project, and I think another thing of reason I do that is somebody said I had a short attention span, but I think it's more that I just I get bored, and I don't know if that's a symptom of having a short attention span, but I like to work on multiple different things, and I truthfully think that's okay, because if I never finish this, I could use this in my art and put a Tim Holtz paper doll there. So there's one I worked on. I'll put that aside here. And then I am working on, these paper dolls go to my journal. For now, I don't know if I'm actually going to use them. I have been stitching on another design here. this one. And I think I got this pattern from Becky, Victorian Christmas. And it's a row of houses done in red work and just with the green Christmas trees. So how far are you on it, Mary? Well, believe it or not, it takes, I'm stitching it over one. Where is it? Oh dear, oh dear. It should be in here. I don't see it. Is it on the inside of this? Yes. This is as far as I am on it. And I've worked for 3 weeks of sessions on it, but I am stitching over one. And I don't think this is, I think this is 25 count. I don't know. I don't know what count of fabric this is because I got it from one of my stitching friends, and she sells extra things, and she sells for other people, and she didn't have the type of fabric. We think it's Lugana, but here it is, and I'm doing pretty good on it, but I wanted a smaller needle. I'm settling for this one, but I ordered some what they call petites to work on this. When I first started stitching on it, I don't know, I wasn't happy with myself. And so I finally ordered some petite needles to work on this. But I worked for about 3 weeks on this. I'm a slow stitcher. I'm not fast. And I just stitch on Monday afternoons with my friends. And then this is a piece that I started, and I'll never finish this. All I did, I'm going to take this stitching out because this is what they call monk's cloth. And it's very, now, it's a hard fabric to stitch on. It's just wiggly. It's like a glorified burlap almost. But I'm going to take these. All I did was the border up here, and I lost count, or I stopped because I didn't have I couldn't figure out the pattern, but I don't even like that line of stitching. So it won't be hard for me to pull this out. And it was fraying, so I just put masking tape. Stitchers will zigzag around the edges, but a fast way to heal your edges is just to put masking tape. But I have other plans. I'm going to cut this piece up, but not right now. So those are the projects. That and that Santa Claus one I showed you are the projects that I'm working on, and I'll stitch on this one pretty steady now until Christmas. But I probably won't get it done as slow as I am. And this is just an extra piece here. I could have done this over 2, but it would have been huge. And I want one that I can put in my art journal. So there are those. But now what am I slow stitching on? Let me fold this up. Well, I have one more thing I want to show you. And I don't have one out to show you. But when was it this? Yeah. I ordered this pad of paper for an extra Society of Idea Collector. And what I really like about it is it's lines on one side. And there is sort of a dashboard here. There's lines on one side and graph paper on the other. And I thought I'd show you how I do my scissors. I thought I'd chart out a small scissors here. We'll see. I got plenty of time this morning. Okay, now I need to zoom in for this. This is the fabric book. I can even put that piece in if I want. This is the fabric book that I'm working on with Rosemary. And here's the things that I'm going to put in it. A lot of this Rosemary is sent. I have a piece here from Janet Nash. Hey, I was up late last night. All right, let me zoom in and welcome people in here. Did you think I was going to make it up this morning? All right. Brenda says, she jumps around on projects too. I like to think that we love to learn. We see something new and we have to try it. That's a good explanation. Or you get inspired. I'm somebody who gets so easily inspired by what other people are doing, and I want to join this and I want to join that. And I'm also working on my dolls over here. I think you could tell. I think you could put these dolls in the category of slow stitch because I hand stitched all of these together. I did not use the sewing machine. And this is made with Tim Holtz fabric. And I made the little tassel here. It's got a little charm coming off. It's got a little hanger. This is a little Dodie doll or Dottie doll or Doodle doll, whatever you want to call it. I like to call them doodle dolls because you add things, you add little things to this to decorate it up, to embellish it. But he's got a button on his back of his head there. So, yeah. So I think you could call this slow stitch in a way. I mean, because the stitching part really comes with putting the doll together. I need to finish these up. I got 1.5 dolls to do yet out of 7. Well, I got the doll made. I have 1.5 to decorate. I'll do that in one of these streams. We'll get them out. Okay, Arlene says, Brenda, if I don't have at least 3 projects going at a time, I can't get anything done. Well, I'm glad that I'm not the only one. The needlework that my stitcher friends do, they're just awesome. Some of them do model stitching for designers, and it just I know why they're model stitchers, because their stitching is just beautiful, perfect. It's just beautiful, perfect. Yeah. But it was a topic of conversation in one of our Monday afternoon sessions about, do you put a project down and pick up something else, or do you work straight through? And several of them, there's that little mosquito flying around here. He still wants to eat me. Several of them will work on a project straight through. A few of them will put something down and work. So they get tired of working on it. If it's a big, huge piece, it tends to, work on a little, go do something else, come back to it. Kimberly's here. Hi, Kimberly. Yeah, over 1. That's one of my, I don't know if I could do that today, Mitzi. My eyes have gotten old over the last 5 years. I'm struggling with that over 1 on that Christmas piece. But a part of that is I don't think I have the right needle. Hi, Nikan. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Mitzi's here. Kimberly's here. Arlene is here. Arlene, I dropped a link to, I think that's probably to Susan Hiles. I do have a link in my description box to the Slow Stitch with Me open collab. It's hosted by Susan Hiles, and what she does is she invites people to join this collab, notify her if you're going to upload a video, or I do streams because it's just easier for me to stream than to create a video. But you notify her, and then when she puts out her video, which is out, she usually puts it out Saturday night for the next day. She'll put a link to your channel in the description box. And then once you go to the channel, you can explore the videos and find them, or you can just put in hashtag slow stitch with me. There's Popo. Good morning, Popo. There's Popo. Good morning. I think I've said good morning to everybody. All right. So let's look at what we're doing here. This is the fabric journal that I'm working on, and I had it tacked together here at the spine, but I took that all out. And I'm working on this a page at a time. And I have several pages done already. I'll have to, I think I have it upside down. I know I do. Let's turn this all around. It goes like this, because this is the wrap around here. Let's flip to the front. This is the front. And I'll be fiddling with these until I bind it. And I think I'm going to try to bind it with some pretty ribbon. I don't know if I can with this thick of a book. But if I go a page at a time, I might be able to. But this is just a little sheer table doily. And this is a lacy one. And this is another lacy one. I don't know how this second one got on there. I think I just wrapped it. This really can... Well, maybe because this one doesn't go all the way around, I decided I should put it more like this. Maybe what I should do is put this on the inside like that. Yeah, I think I like it better like that. And then this piece, and I've shown this several times. I work on it a little, then I'll set it down, and then I'll come back to it. This is the wraparound over here. What's on that? Just a little piece of scrap paper. And let's just take these off one at a time. This page is done, I think. Well, this page right here, I pretty much got this finished. I'll come back and embellish it, but when I say finish, I mean stitch the little pieces that I'm going to put on here. Right now, I guess this is not done. This, I tack it on there with double-sided tape, and then I'll come back and stitch on it. This is all stitched here. And let me pull these out as I go. This is the next page here, and it only comes over a little, probably in the center. I'll have to decide as I go. I think that one comes over a little though. I think it goes, well, I think it goes more like that. And then I'll bind it in there. But if I do that, I need to pull these over. But I'm just laying them out right now. I'll have to center everything so I have a center binding. And then there's this page. This page is not, I was stitching on this, and I think I ran out of thread. So as I got a stitch going, I have to do this side yet. And you see I have a pin in there. Here's my needle. Let's take my needle out. Ooh, oh, it's got thread in it. I didn't want to pull it out. Let's snip it. I didn't want to pull it through there. But that's okay. I'm to the end anyway. This comes through over there, and we'll knot that eventually. I'm just going to let my threads hang for now. And that's a pretty big needle, Mary. All right. So, and then you can see this one's still pinned on because of this. So this is the page I think I'm working on. Maybe I'll hold that out and work on it this morning. And then I have a owl, and this was put on with double-sided tape. I won't be stitching on that. This is double-sided tape. And I believe this is double-sided tape too. But it'll come in here. And then there's a sheer piece, and all I did on this piece for stitching was I did a And it was really hard because this is sheer fabric and it's kind of wiggly. But it was bound over here with a trim, and I did blanket stitch on this, and it went really nice. And when I tried to do it over here, because it wasn't bound, it got wiggly. I put a piece of ribbon through it, but that's okay. I like it. So there's that page. And this I may not do anything to because it's already got beautiful stitching on it. I might put some embellishments on it, but I don't think I'll do any more stitching on that. And here's a piece where I'm putting it goes like this. I'm putting, and I already tacked that in there, I'm putting some hook and eyes. This is a kind of embellishment. That goes in there. I'll show you all those, and then I'll get out that page that I'm going to stitch on. This one I already I crocheted along the border of this. That's what I did with the other piece of this pretty fabric. See, and it will get bound down the center. I'll have to, I think the center is up further on this, but, and I actually have, well, we'll come back to that piece. I have a vertical piece in here. The next few pages here. This piece is pretty much done. I put a pin here to hold this piece of lace and the red tag and the button that falls down came from Kathy Berg. Her New Year's streamathon, and she had a giveaway, and I won it, and that's what she sent. And she sent some other fabrics. I think that house that you saw previously came from Kathy Berg. But this is all stitched down, and this one isn't. I started to. It's stitched over. Well, yeah, it is. It's well, no. It's stitched right in there from here, from the other side. So there's that. And then I have a quilty piece in here. This is all stitched down. See, I've got a pocket in there. And I think this is just tacked down. I think I started stitching it. It's just tacked on. This is a piece that I purchased at probably the thrift store. And on the back I have a pocket, and I think the reason I haven't stitched this side yet is I have to be careful that I don't go through and sew my pocket down. And then I have this piece, which is really going to be and I think these butterflies, if I remember right, came from Janet Nash, and I'm using them as a border. But this piece, I can put this in here and then let some of these flip over it. And then this is part of my closure here. So let's close it up for now. And like I said, I don't really have the center seam worked out here yet. And I'll pull that down just a little. So what I do is I just fold it like so, and like that, and then I'll put a pin. This isn't the pin I use. I don't know what I did with the pin that I use. This, I can't use that one. It's got gunk on it. Let's use one that's, Penelope says they all have gunk on them, Mary. Yeah. And then I'll just pin it here. And maybe another one. So this is my September caboodle from last year. This is a rosemary. Oh, and that actually flips over. I didn't flip it over. I'll just leave it like that for now. I'm not going to take it apart. But I'm still working on it. I work on it when I feel like it. So let's do a little slow stitching. I might have to zoom in. I've got some thread here. And I'm sure I got this at the thrift store. It said sell $1.09, but I think this came in a bag of things. And let me zoom in closer. So yeah. Now, when I slow stitch on this, this part here is all stitched down. This rose part is not a pocket. So some of my stitching that I do on here will actually show through. The back of it will show through over there. And I pulled my needle out and gave it to Penelope, didn't I? I don't know. This one might be too big. I thought I gave it to Penelope. Or did I put it back in here? I put it back in. No, that was the pin. I'm sure I gave it to Penelope. She ate it. She said, "Yummy, Mary, thank you." Here it is. We'll put it like that for now. I'm going to zoom in so you can actually see me stitch. I'll zoom in a little bit more. And I'll probably get out of whack every now and then. And I'm not going to stitch with embroidery floss. I'm going to stitch with this. You could do this with embroidery floss. This is just like crochet thread. This red is. I don't know what the black over here looks like, a piece of, or the blue. It looks like it might be a piece of thread, a stronger thread, like a coat thread. And then over here, I did some just straight stitches, and then I made some little some little fancy dancies in there just to play. And I have that pinned on. Why do I have that pinned on? Maybe because I'm not done with it. I think I can take that pin out. Okay, but what I want to stitch on today is this piece right here. And after I get done, I'll show you some of the embellishments that are going to go in here, but we're going to stitch on this first. So I noticed that Susan had 6 needles, all pre-threaded. I thread my needles online. You guys can watch me struggle. But this one, I don't have too much trouble when I have a needle where the thread actually fits the eye. Now, let's pull this down a little. And I think I'm going to double the thread. And I think I'll do I think I got a big enough eye on this needle that I can do the blind knot. Let's get a big length because I'm going to double it. And let's snip her off. And you grab one open end and the other open end. Whoops, that's not it. It's here. Right here. You grab the 2 open ends. And you guys have seen me do this before. 2 open ends. And I have a pretty big eye on this needle. And I like that. It's pretty easy to thread this one. Pull it through. The only thing about using a large eye needle is your thread, if you're not careful, it tends to fall out. So by the time I'm done, I've got about maybe 15, maybe 18, maybe 18 inches of thread on this. And that's about what a needle worker would recommend you use. All right. This is going to bother me. Let's put it down here. So, what kind of a stitch are you going to do, Mary? Well, let's see. Instead of stitching right up at the top, because if I stitch at the top, it will run right in there. I'm going to stitch it down here. And let's just put a beginning stitch in it first. I don't know what kind of a stitch. Just maybe something simple. Let's just do a, and see, I put it through the loop and pull it through. That was just a thread from over here. I pull it through and it makes a blind knot there. Get up here where you guys can see. So let's start out with just some straight stitches here. And because I'm going through several layers here, at least 3. Should I just do the sashiko? Maybe we'll just do the sashiko. Sashiko-like. It won't be as pretty as a true, let's pull this all out. Let's do this. You do a tiny stitch, a long stitch, a tiny one, a long one, a tiny one. Are you guys seeing? A long one, a tiny one. And a long one. And I'm going to end up on the back. So let's pull that through and see what it looks like. And I think I can pull this needle out now. We'll give it back to Penelope. And let's pull it through on the back. Oh, see, my needle came unthreaded. My needle came unthreaded because that's such a large eye. It's easy for this to come unthreaded. And I'm aware of that. You could knot it, but I don't. Well, no, you can't knot it if you're going through fabric. Ignore that. Ignore that. You could knot it statement. You shouldn't knot it. You can knot it, Mary? All right, we're going to come up right about here. And I actually would like them offset just a little. I'm going to come over just a little. Right about in there. I might be zoomed in a little too, maybe I just need to tip my camera. Let's tip my camera just a little because I tend to, when I'm stitching, I tend to pull this toward my face. All right. So my thread, you can't see it very well because I'm in a dark spot, but it is dark stitches right across there. I guess you can kind of see them. I should have a different color of thread in there, but I'm going to go with what I have. I wouldn't call this a true sashiko because I really haven't studied their art of, I just know it's running stitches going across. So I try to do a long, a short, a long, a short, a long, and a shorter than my long. They may not all be the same length. A long, a short, and we're going to do an extra long here and have it end up even. Now, let's see if I can keep the thread on my needle if I pull it through on the back. It's not quite all through. It's caught on this one. So I kind of slanted up there. I don't like that. So I'm going to take it out because it's just a running stitch. I don't like how I went. I tell ya, that's my eye. And it's pretty easy to take this out. I slanted upwards I didn't want to do that. I need to keep it more like that. We're going to do that one over. On this, it's easy to remove the stitching because it's just straight stitches and it's more like a basting almost. But when you do cross stitches and all sorts of sampler stitches, so it gets a little harder. Okay, long, short. See if I can't stay straight with my long, short, long, short. Did I go up? No, I'm still primmed. This one might be slanted up just a little. Let's do it again. Let's make this one shorter, long, short, and long. And I'm going to end it on the back. Let's see how it looks on this side. Oh, I didn't eat any breakfast. I sat there last night after the stream and ate these corn checks. So I got all this salt taste in my mouth. I'm pretty happy with that. Going there and there. That's good. All right. And I'm just going to carry my thread down. You know, I might be able to see it better on this side. However, I'm doing my sashiko on this side. I could reverse it now. I do 2 rows with the long stitches on this side and 2 rows, because this is a page, I could do 2 rows here. I might try that. Let's try it. Let's put it down through here. And let's see where it comes out over here. Oh, I got it come over just a little. I got it go down. Well, I don't want to go down. Let's see where I'm at here. I'm over on this side. It is a short stitch anyway, there. All right, so I'm just going to come up there, and then I'm going to take a stitch and go down this way. Maybe about a 1/2 inch or so. There's about a 1/2 inch between, maybe a little bit more than a 1/2. But now I'm going to, and how close am I to the edge here? I'm going to actually make that a little bit over. It'll be a little slanty, but I don't care. It won't be too slanty because I want these to line up as much as possible. And then I'm going to put my long stitches on here and do 2, and then I'll go back to the other side. I'll do back and forth. So I'm going to do a long, a short, a long, a short. Come on. You got to understand I'm going through 3 layers of fabric. So there's a short. Am I slanting up? I think I might be going up just a little. Let's pull that out. I don't want to have to pull it all out at the end. A long, a short, a long, push that down just a little. I'm so aware of me might be going whoop, because I tend to do that. Maybe if I put my thumb there. A short here. That's a real short one. I don't even know if I went clear through. Let's, there. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty straight. I don't want to go up anymore. My needle tends to want to go that way. And I guess it's the way I'm pointing the needle when I put it in. Like that. Like that. And I've got to end it here. Right there. Let's see what I have. I can always pull it out. Pull it out! Yep. I'm pretty happy with it. Now see, on the back, it's just a bunch of little stitches, except for that one right there. That was my ending stitch. Actually, I could pull that one out and make it smaller. But I don't think I will, because it kind of matches that one. So I'm just going to go down. I'm going to square off my ends. I'm not sure that they actually do that in Sashiko. I think maybe in Sashiko they do long lines and then they snip it. They snip their fabric. But I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I'm just going to go down. Let's see. Actually, I am going to pull this out, because I need it to end and come up over here. And as you stitch, you'll notice that your thread, one thread will get longer than the other. And that happens in needlework too. One thread will get longer than the other. I every now and then go in and snip them even, especially when I'm rethreading my needle. But that's just because of the twist of the thread as you go in and out. One thread will get just a teeny bit longer than the other. Okay, now I want a long stitch. And I want to end up going under. So I want a long stitch, a short stitch, and another long stitch. And I want to end up on the other side in the fabric, will I? Let's do the short stitch and then another long, but I want to make sure that I'm ending over here on my fabric. And I actually need to push this down a little. Down there. Yeah, and I caught the fabric. And let's stop and see what you guys are saying in chat. I'm pretty happy with this. I like it on this side. I even like the little pieces and then the long, and I'll have 2 rows of long and then I'll have 2 rows of little. Let's see what you guys are saying out in chat. Good morning, Janet Nash. Hi, Bootsy. Roy. Arlene dropped a link to Sashiko Stitching. Thank you, Arlene. Roy says, you know you are getting really old when you are able to still thread the needle threader. Oh, well, let me tell you, Bootsy, when I was doing, I don't know if you saw the piece I showed earlier where I had that little red house over one, and it's like on 28 count, and it's over one, and the stitches are tiny, 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 and I had a tiny, I was using a quilting needle, and if you've ever seen a quilting needle, they're about 1 inch long, and the eye of the needle is almost too small to put embroidery floss through. You have to use a thin, because they quilt, so you use a thinner thread. And a thinner thread will go through a quilting needle, but I dare you to try to put embroidery thread. It'll go through, but you need a needle threader. And I was struggling with that one day, and I actually pulled my needle threader apart trying to get the thread through the needle, eye of the needle. I pulled my needle threader apart. But this needle has a pretty large eye on it. It's got a large, I'd say that eye is probably about 5/8 of an inch long, and maybe a 1/16 of an inch opening. It's easy to thread this. The only part caveat about using a large eye needle like this is if you're using a smaller thread, it tends to, especially when it gets shorter as you use up your thread, the thread tends to fall out of the needle. But good morning, Bootsy. Brenda's here. Janet is here. Kimberly's here. She says, good morning, Roy. Janet says, oh, Mary, so brave. I pre-thread mine. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people will pre-thread theirs. I'm not that organized yet to know what I'm going to do. You know, if you sat here and said, okay, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to work on this. You know, I don't. I pull everything out and say, okay, this is what I'm going to work on. And I have some thread here, so this is what I'm going to use. Let's see, what else is going on here? Janet says, oh, Arlene, yes, it's always worth saving bits and pieces. You never know when you need them. Yeah, little pieces, like this is cut from last night. And this will go in here someplace. I'll have to figure it out. I might put this in there someplace. And this would be something I could do cross-stitching on. Just do a row of X's across this way. Put that across there on one of the pages. Not this page. I don't think, well, especially not that side. You know, it could go, but see, no. It could go down in there. That way, and what would, if I put cross stitches, it would be cross stitch here. It would depend on, you know, I am going to put embellishments on this. So this is kind of an area for an embellishment here. And, you know, maybe some charms or something in here. Or a cluster or something. So we might put that piece on something. Let's see. I was reading chat. A beautiful size. Janet said, good morning to Kimberly and Beef. Beef is Kimberly's dog. Janet says, thank you so much, Arlene. It does have pink, but I think you like the brass pipe I got from the streets. Janet Nash did a slow stitching video, and I did watch it before I went to bed last night. I watched both Susan Hiles. Susan Hiles did a beautiful wall hanging, and Janet Nash showed a lampshade that she made. And Janet, was that other piece a fireplace screen? You showed right toward the end. I looked at it and going, is that a fireplace screen that you did there? It was really pretty. Let's see. Janet's saying good morning. Arlene is here. Brenda D says, I jump around on projects too. I like to think we love to learn. Okay, I'm back up to there. Let's go down. Mitzi says, Mary, I just took a piece of my most accomplished stitching. Would it be okay to post it? Oh, a pic? Oh, you want to post it in, where do you want to post it? In Phibbsville, of course I think it would be okay because we're slow stitching. This is an art journal. You mean post it in Phibbsville? I think, Mitzi, it would be perfectly okay. What is the slow stitch called? Well, really, what I'm doing here is kind of like my version of sashiko. Sashiko, it's spelled S-A-S-H-I-K-O. It's a Japanese kind of a running stitch, really. But they do it so precise. It's really kind of like a running stitch, and they do it in rows. I think you did that, Susan. What is the slow stitch called? I think that's what you, and these that I do different things, like these are running stitches here. These are easy ones. Over on this piece here, I just did upright stitches or satin. This is not, here is not a blanket stitch because I just did upright stitches. I didn't cross them. If you would have crossed them, you know, put a horizontal across the center of them, it would have been called an upright cross. But this is just more of a upright stitch. here. And then I just played with putting little pieces out there, just little decorative pieces, thinking that I'd come back and maybe put some knots in there. But see, when you do that upright stitch on this side, it's nice and straight. But on this side, it kind of goes slanted as you go from stitch to stitch. It kind of slants to the side there. And in slow stitching, you don't have to be as concerned about the beauty of your stitch in slow stitching as you do in fine needlework. Another person that you might want to watch, oh, what is her name? Oh, I'll have to look it up because I can't pull it out of my head right now. I had shared the Victoria sampler on Susan's, and good morning, Susan, on Susan's blog, because she said if you know of any good stitching tutorials, and there are hundreds of them out there of different stitches, but I tend to watch the Victoria sampler. She does a lot of hardanger. She really does not explain what she's doing. If you're a beginner, you might want to get a tutorial that explains it. If you do put in cross-stitch dictionary or something like that, you'll find hundreds of different ways to do stitches. Right now, I'm doing the simple stuff on this. I have to say I really haven't done much fancy stitching. But there's people out there who do quilting. And I'm not good with pulling names out of my head early in the morning. There are a few that I watch, but the Victoria sampler, when she stitches, like she was showing how to do a Rhodes heart, which is a very well-known embroidery stitch. You work on a piece of linen, you work over either 4 or 8 threads. 8 would give you a larger, and you go from this side to this side, and you just, you kind of angle it, and then you angle back this way. Well, she showed how to do one, and then she cut out where she did the part going across. So I like to watch her, but she's not really, doesn't explain the stitch while she's doing it. So that may have been a wrong one to give to Susan to learn from, but it gives you a fast look at some of the different stitches. And some of the easier ones, you can figure it out just by watching her. And you can buy books galore. But I wouldn't buy a book. I would just go online and look at cross-stitch sites, which have a lot of sampler needlework stitches. There is another one out there. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Of course, I'm at the weather. I opened my tablet the other morning and said, "Oh, it's 36 degrees." That's what it wasn't plugged into the internet, so that's what it was that night. Going, what is it doing 36 degrees at 11 o'clock in the morning? I want to see if I can find what oh, these are patterns. I don't want patterns. I don't want patterns. Hold on. I'm looking for the one that I like to use. I don't know why it gave me patterns. I haven't cross-stitched in such a long time. I shouldn't be doing this online. I should, because there's just all sorts of stuff if you put in cross-stitch symbols or let's see. Oh, this is not leading me to embroidery stitches, maybe. There's some videos out there. I can't find the one that I like so well, and my head isn't pulling it out. I'm not going to fool with it anymore. I can't find it. Mitzi says, Mary, oh, I was reading that. Let's see, what is slow stitch called? Slow stitch is called slow stitch. I think she meant, what was I doing? The sashiko? Sashiko. S-A-S-H-I-K-O. Yes, it is slow stitching. Sashiko. Oh, it was paper piece collage. Oh, it was a paper piece collage on your fire. Was that a fire screen across your fireplace? It was really pretty, Janet. You guys are going to have to go out and see what Janet did for slow stitching as a lampshade. Oh my goodness. I think she has fabrics from that people have sent her from all around the world on that lampshade. Arlene said she posted a Shishiko blog above. Thank you, Arlene. Bootsy says, deer in headlights time. Our church craft fair is today. I posted a pic in Phibbsville of one of my contributions. Oh, Roy, that's cool. I'm going to have to go look. The 4th art Saturday deadline. Going to be late again. Major yard chores. I understand the yard chores. Roy, if you get it in by Wednesday of next week, don't worry about it. I think, was it Diana said that hers was going to be later too. So, yep. You'll get it in Wednesday just so I can get them posted before next Saturday. Get the links out. Kimberly says, send me a pic on Twitter, Mitzi. I would love to see it. Susan says, I'm just learning all the different stitches. There are so many, I had no idea. Yeah, and you know what? I know all those stitches are out there, but I tend to go back to the straight stitches, the running stitch, the satin stitch, the blanket stitch. I tend to go back to those basic ones. I like the queen stitch a lot. And I might show you an example of a queen stitch on here. I like the beauty of the queen stitch. Let me straighten my thread out here. See how this piece is longer? Can you see that? This piece is longer than this piece. That thread, I don't know if there you guys can see it there. Well, there. But if you take the needle and get the threads, you got to get a hold of both ends. Take your needle and pull it way down to the base of your stitch and then run it back up again. That will straighten out those threads. All right, I'm going to go back on here, but I want to come down. That's what I want to do. I want to come down there, go in. Yeah, that's good. And I think I'm going to start out with a little stitch here, kind of a brickwork pattern. Okay, did that come all the way through, or do I have it knotted there? My thread still isn't even. I don't have that even yet. There we go. Okay, so I'm stitching on this side. Let's see. Roy left. Arlene put a link to the Victoria sampler. See, I like her a lot, and she's a designer. She designs and sells needlework charts and everything, and she's done it for years and years and years. She's an expert. And but I will say I love watching her videos of how she does the different stitches, but you kind of have to know where she's going. She doesn't really explain each stitch. She demonstrates each stitch. And some people can learn just by watching it, and other people have to have the verbal explanation with it. Hi, Allison. Good morning, Allison. Hi, Carol, Whispering Cauldron. Oh, yes, you should, Carol. Turn your camera on when you stitch. Carol is another person who does beautiful, beautiful stitching. And I like to do that. I used to do a lot of cross stitching. Let's see. I wanted to do a short stitch here. And I would play around with different stitches. And it's fun to learn them and do a sampler. But I tend just to come back to the basic ones. Let's do a long stitch here. And a short one. And Sashiko stitching itself is really just a running stitch. They tend to be a little more precise about it. No, I'm back to, let's make that a, it's going to be about the same pattern as this one. Let's pull that through and see what I have. Oh, pull my needle through. There we go. I'm happy with that. But see, I'm reversing my rows here. I did 2 rows of short and 2 rows of long stitches. And then on this side, it's 2 rows of long and 2 rows of short. I haven't done the second row yet. No, I have. It's just not showing up. It's showing up a little on this side. It's hard to see it because it's a dark fabric. Okay. So I'm just going to do a long, but I need it ended up on this side so I can bring it down. So I guess I'll do a long and a short. Mary's talking to herself here. But even the needlework experts will tell you, don't go to, when you're doing your stitching, don't go much longer than an 18-inch thread on your needle because it can get pretty tangled. All right, now I want to come down here, right in there. Yeah, now I want to flip it over again and do some long stitches on here. And I don't know if I'll have enough on my needle to do all of these. My thread is, I'm going to run out of thread. All right, I'm going to do a long, a short, a long. And you can buy stencils. I don't bother with getting stencils. You can buy stencils that will help you keep your sashiko stitches even and pretty and all of that. I don't bother with that. This is, yeah, I like the idea that my slow stitching can be, I don't have to worry, is my line straight or does it curve? Do I have a knot hanging? I don't have to worry about that when I do slow stitching. You can worry about it if you want, but I tend to say, okay. Now, let's see, I think I want this one a little bit longer and a little short one at the end. And I'm going to pull it through here. And let's see. This should be short on this side and long on the other. And I might have, there we go. Like that. And like that. Now you can see this darker thread in here. There are short rows there that you don't see as much. They're there. You have to look for them because this is a dark print here. But you can see my dark thread there. You can probably see it down here. I think I have enough to do the next row here. And did I go down enough? I'm going to come down just a little bit further. Right there. And this is, by the way, this is not a tutorial. This is showing you my slow stitch, my fabric book. And this is just a page, one page in my fabric book. All right, I'm going to do a long, a short, Susan, I'll hunt for that link. I wish I could, I can't remember the name of it. It's been so long since I've used it. There's a really good database out there that I like to go to learn how to do the stitches. And for all I know, they might have taken it down. I don't know. I'll have to see. And let's go. Let's see. I think I want to end this thread. So I'm just going to now there's several ways you could end it. I could tie a knot here. In fact, I think I will. Just tie a little knot in here. Just make a little knot. You could just knot it and leave it hang like I did here. But since I got these hanging, I don't think I want this, and I've got this one hanging. I don't think I want another one hanging. So I'm going to make a little knot here. Like that. And then I'm going to go through my fabric, but not clear through. I'm going to go through the fabric pieces. So see, my needle is not coming out on the other side. It's hidden in there. And I'm just going to let my needle pull through a long way on here. In cross stitch, you don't have to go that far, but well, cross stitch, you tuck it under your stitches. But in my dolls, I do this technique on my dolls. So that thread, I knotted it there, and I'm hiding my thread between the layers of fabric is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes I don't have to move it so far up. Sometimes I don't use. But see, that's how much thread I had to stitch with. Let's throw that away. I might as well go ahead and finish the next two rows, huh? Because I got 2 rows of long in here, and I want 2 rows of short here. And that should finish it off. And then I think I'll switch to something else I wanted to show you that I play with. Let's go down to the bottom of the chat here. Susan says, I'll check out the Fusible website too. Flannel is a great idea. Somebody suggested she use flannel. Yeah, I'll let you know when I find it. It's in my head, but I haven't used it for a long time. In fact, and I probably don't have it bookmarked because I probably used it on my laptop my old laptop that I don't use anymore. I'm unrolling some thread here. Let's see, I wanted about 18 inches approximately. And snip that. And I do like to, I like to do the blind stitch, the blind knot, because I have so many knots on here anyway, where you put your 2 open ends through your needle. got the open ends here and the looped in here. And so when you start stitching, I went long on this side. I'm going to make a little stitch right in here. Oh, that's way off of that. I have to come in more. There. Maybe down just a little. Right. Right there. Yeah. All right. It's really hard to do this where you guys can see. I'm doing very simple stitches here, running stitches. Yeah. For one thing, it's easier to do simple online. See how I got this loop here? I got that loop end of my needle right there of my thread. And so I'm going to come back through just a little off of it, come back through, and I'm going to come through that loop. And I do this a lot when I'm binding journals. It's really a embroidery technique, and what it does when you come through that loop, it makes a blind knot. Just keep pulling it. And so there I have my knot, but it doesn't look like a knot. It's a blind knot. It's actually a tiny stitch. So now I'm going to start doing, and I can actually bring this over a little. I can actually start doing short stitches on this side. That's what I'm doing, short stitches on this side. So I want to do long stitches here. What did I do? Wait, I want to do long stitches on this side. Let's go back. Do I do this way when I'm alone too? Well, it's actually easier when you're alone because you can get this up to your nose. I can see I wanted a long stitch here. I'm going to make another little. Ignore this stitch because I wanted a long stitch here and I made it short. Why did I make it short? Because I'm coming off of it. I think I'll be okay though. I wanted a long stitch there. So just ignore what I'm doing right here. Ignore this part. I'm going to kind of double it. I made this one too far in. Okay. So we're going to go long, short, long, short, long. And I'm not saying that this is a true sashiko. True sashiko probably keeps the same longs all the way down, but I like reversing it. I like a little variation in it. I kind of like how this is. Did I do, what did I got off track here. I need to make this one short. And long again. But I need to catch the other side of that fabric on the back. And pull this through. So I should have short stitches on this side and long stitches on the other side. And there are my short stitches. I don't know, what's it catching on? What is that catching? I doubled my thread here. I just threaded that needle. What is it catching on? It's not catching, it just didn't pull all the way through. I needed my thread was doubled. So let's pull this one thread all the way through here. One of them. the other one? There we go. So I got long stitches there. And there's actually, is there a short stitch there? No, I ended it. This is the joy of trying to stitch two pieces of fabric at the same time. All right, then I'm going to come down, make a stitch down this way, just to do it. And I'm still on my fabric. I can come down a bit more here. Let's do it right in there. Now I can come down a bit more. All right, there. Am I in there? Yeah. All right, now I'm going to do another row of long, and then I'm going to end it. So I've got 2 rows of short stitches, 2 rows of long stitches, 2 rows of short stitches, and 2 rows of long stitches. I kind of like that, just for the fun of it. And here again, when you do slow stitching like this is kind of freestyle stitching. You don't have to worry so much about being perfect. And I think that's what I like about it. You don't have to worry about perfection. If you were doing a needlework piece, and I don't really tend to worry about perfection there either, because if you're doing a cross stitch pattern and you stitch one piece, if you can and if you can kind of visually fix it without having to rip the whole 10 rows out, and you visually stitch it and fix it, but it isn't exactly what the pattern is, unless you're being judged like in a competition or something, I wouldn't worry about it, because nobody's going to look at what you stitched and look at the pattern and say, oh, you're off. All right, now I'm going to hide this thread too. I'm going to make a little stitch here, just a little tiny stitch, and knot it right there. I'm going to knot this, make a tiny little knot, and then I'm going to put my thread, hide my thread. I'm going to go into the fabric but not clear through to the other end. I'm hiding my thread between the layers of fabric. And when I do it on a piece like this, I tend to want to put a big long tail on the inside so it won't pull out. And then you just snip it off. So that's all the slow stitching I'm going to do here in front of you, because it is slow. It is slow. I got 2 longs, 2 shorts, 2 longs, and 2 shorts. On this side, I got short, long, short, long. On this side, I got short, long, short, long. So it's reversed. And I'm happy with that. There's a pocket here. I need to take this tape out. I tend to attach these with double-sided tape, which may not be the best thing to do. But then I go in and where is it? Take it out again. I just roll it up. It'll roll off. Generally it does. Get a hold of it here. I go, Mary, why did you do that? Why didn't you just pin it? But pin it and it sticks me when I pin it. There it is right there, most of it. Get that off of my finger. Let's go get the rest of it. I like to do this because when I pin it, there, it's out of there. There's the rest of it there. When I pin it, I got the pin sticking me. There we go. I'm good with that. So that's one page, and I think I'm going to leave this as a pocket here. This is all stitched. This is all stitched, that's stitched, this is all stitched, and this is stitched around the border, and I'm going to leave this for embellishment. So this page is done. I'm pretty happy with this. Let me zoom out just a teeny bit so you can see the entire page rather than just a little. I'm pretty happy with this. And yeah, I like hanging threads. I do like that, especially in a book like, actually it'll go like that, because it's a head. It's printed on the fabric. See, and there's my 2 rows of long there, 2 rows of short, 2 rows of long, 2 rows of short. And here's, I wasn't exactly straight on that. I could have been a little bit straighter, but I'm actually working on line too. So there's 2 rows of short, 2 rows of long, 2 rows of short, and 2 rows of long. And these are just running stitches. On here, here's where I was doing those straight stitches. And then I think I'm going to come in with some little French knots in here. Well, that thread's in the way. He's actually caught in there. Let's get him out. Let's snip him off if I can. There. So I think I'm going to put little French knots, maybe 3 of them on each side. I think would be pretty on each side. And I did the same thing. No, I didn't do the same thing. I was going to down there. But I was just playing. But see, if you make it straight here, you're going to have a little slant on here because you're hopping from one stitch to the other. I think I came down. Well, did I see? No, I hopped. I think I started over here and went this way. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm pretty happy with it. And this is just another running stitch through this piece of fabric tape measure. So there it is. I actually like this side. So this is complete. This can be put in my book now as a page. So I will have something else I want to do this morning. And, well, let's show you the embellishments that come with this first. Let me zoom out. Well, no, because I'm going to show the embellishments. Rosemary's, this is a caboodle kit. This is her September of 2020 caboodle. Of course, I've added things. I keep adding. Actually, her kit is, most of her stuff is in here. And this piece, now if you want to see beautiful slow stitching, look at this. This came from Janet Nash. This is a beautiful, look, she's got it stamped on there. And this was November 18th of 2020 that she did this. Let me stand up. Look at that. Janet Nash did this. Isn't this beautiful? Look at her beautiful stitching. And this is looks like a row of trees or plants that and here's her beautiful little running stitches. Look at that. And there's a piece coming down this way. It looks like it might be an applique piece, because it feels like it too. And here's some daisy stitches that she did here. This is a daisy chain. And it looks like, I don't know if this was part of the fabric here or if she stitched around that. I don't know what that blue, if that's stitching or if that's part of the fabric. That might be part of the fabric. I'm not sure on that. And here she attached a little teeny, looks like a crochet tatted piece there, and a little piece underneath of it. And this is part of this that she's put down there. Here's some little, look at those tiny little cross stitches that she did in there. And there's a button there. This is beautiful. This is just a beautiful example of slow stitching. I haven't got advanced to this point yet. Isn't this beautiful? And look at this. Look at these tiny little little stitches in here. Look at those. Isn't that gorgeous? Janet, this is just an excellent piece. She's got stitched around the border here, and she's got it attached to a back piece here. So her stitches on here are actually covered up from here. She's put a backing on it. Isn't that just gorgeous? I'm just such a proud owner of this. It's just a joy to share it with you guys. Look at what she's done in there. The attention to the detail for each tiny little piece. How long that must have taken her to do. Look at, she attached another little either tatted or crocheted piece there. There's another little something in there. It looks like a sequence that she's put on there right here. Isn't that just gorgeous? Just yumminess. Just yummy. And I think I have another piece of hers. It doesn't stop. I think this was well, this goes with Kathy Berg's. No, I think I got this from, this isn't Kathy. I think this is from, this is done on machine embroidery. This is freeform embroidery. I think this came from Ruth Lamb. I think this, I could be wrong, but I do think this is machine embroidery, freeform embroidery with the sewing machine. Now, this really isn't slow stitch hand done, but this is still beautiful, and it's going in my fabric book. Look what she's done here. This is an actual embroidery stitch on from the machine. And it's just as beautiful. It's just as beautiful done with the machine with freeform stitching in here. Look, she did freeform. Isn't that beautiful? And this is in a piece of India, from India. I don't think this has sashiko on it, but that's going in there. This is just showing you some of, this is my own, this is a silk tie piece. And I'm just showing you some of the things. This came from Rosemary. This was a card. This is going in as an embellishment. I stitched it on the back of some spools of thread, print, scrapbook paper. And I had that stitched in there. You can see my stitches, but I took it out. So I'll be putting that back in. This is the explanation of that red thread off of Kathy Berg's lace piece. If you remember, it was a red thread running down. And it's Chinese. There is an ancient art Chinese proverb that states that all people are destined to meet. We are connected by an invisible red thread. And then on that piece that Kathy Berg sent me, it had a red thread hanging down. And that thread may stretch and tangle, especially if it's Mary's, but will never break. It symbolizes connection, that we are not alone. Also, in claiming our own peace, we define how we are independent of the collective. The only responsibility for our own peace, our purpose. So we are one with the collective, and we are a sovereign being. We are only responsible for ourselves and have a community to lean on for support by tugging on the red thread. Kathy Berg sent that to me. I just love that. Oh, those are just a few of the finished embellishments that I got from other people. I had a buttonhole that Becky sent, but I think I used it on a cluster. I might get that cluster out and put in here. What are these? These are some clock buttons. I just get these at Walmart, but I thought that they would be fun to put in here. You can put buttons in a fabric journal. They're clock ones. I'm not going to open it up because I got it all taped shut. So these are embellishments for my, when I finally get ready to embellish. Some of these came from Rosemary. Here's Rosemary's Etsy shop card, the Rusty Peacock, and she's got a peacock feather there. Rosemary Frias Morris. And this is her Etsy. This is where I get all my caboodles. And she sent, these things are all going in there. Here's a button cards. just because I haven't showed them. I mean, I don't have them in my book yet. Here's I'm not going to pull them all out, but these all came from Rosemary, I think. There's a thimble. There's a, well, not all of them, because I think that's mine. This might be a mishmash, because I don't think Rosemary sent me black tea. She might have. Look at this. I don't know if I had that or she sent that to me, but look at that piece. Isn't that beautiful? This might be a collection of my stuff. I don't know, because I remember that button. This button, that black button, I don't know if you can see, but it has different stitches on it. I don't know if Rosemary, that was an earring. I don't know if she sent that to me, but it has different, it's got some zigzag stitches. It's got a V stitch there. Oh, it's a chicken, I think. Well, it looks like a chicken. It's got an eye there. I'm not sure what that is. And, oh, I have to show you. This is not all from Rosemary. I have to show you this. This is going in here. One of these came from our Violet. A couple of them did. Violet did these. Well, that one I did. Violet sent me a couple of these buttons that she made. And look, that's a knit. Can you see that? It's knit. And Violet made that. She sent, it's one of the first things that Violet sent to me. And I think that's just made out of that, oh, what is that clay called? Comes in a little box. My head's not thinking right this morning. Can't call it things out instantly to, yeah, this is, see, look at that. Isn't that pretty? This is a collection of my stuff that I want to put in here. So you can see how fat this is going to grow. I got a tea bag here. This was a little scissor shank that I painted. Black and gold. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. Here, this must have been something I got. It's a necklace. Isn't that beautiful? So these are things that I'll be putting in there. Let's see, what is this? I think this came from Rosemary, a pin of buttons on here. I think that one, some of these came from Rosemary. Here's another one here. I think she sent the thimble, the winder bobbin. Here's a fleur-de-lis. So all of these little things, when I get all my pages stitched, I'm going to start embellishing. So this may not get done for another year, but that's okay with me. That's perfectly okay. Here's a Surefine tea bag. And I think this might have come from Rosemary. Because, look, it's got this on it. I don't think the Surefine came from her, but look at this little tea bag. There. Can you guys see that? I think that came from Rosemary. I didn't do that. It's actually two in there. Oh. Wow, look. No, it's one. I'm sorry. It's wrapped around. It's meant to be like a little, it's meant to be like a little flower type thing. I dropped it. It's meant to be a little flower. It needs to poof out, I think. But it's cute. Cute as can be. And she's got a little tie on it. No, there's only one. She's got a base here. That's cute. I didn't do that. That came as part of what Rosemary. And then these tea bag things are mine. I'll be coloring them or stitching on them. They won't have Surefine on them when I get done. But see, a lot of this stuff I collect from you guys, from Janet and Kathy Berg and Violet. Violet also sent me a couple other buttons. I think I have them up on my top of my desk over there. I have to hunt them out. But I know for sure this button, I love this knit button. I love that. Violet made that. And I'm going to use it as it is. I'm not going to paint it or anything. It's it's a fabric journal. This was mine. I love that. And that was mine. Let's just go through the rest of my embellishments here. You'll see these after I get, and here's a clothespin. I don't have any like this. I think Rosemary sent that to me. Yeah, she did this. This is the September. This is something I made. I was playing with the flowers and paper. This is pressed tissue paper in there. And a flower. I might go in and darken that up a little bit more. I don't know if I'll put that in there. It's kind of bulky. All right, what else do I have in here? I've got some ruffle here. It's wired. I don't know if that came from, I think that I dyed this with that butterfly tea. I'm pretty sure I did. And it's different colors. It gets bluer in here. But that, and then I got some floral. That might have come in the kit. I lose track of what comes in the kit and what doesn't. Here's some, and I've been using this off and on. This is like a ticking fabric and tape measure, yardstick fabric that I made. Rosemary taught us, even though it's my fabric, Rosemary, I learned to make that fabric washi from Rosemary by using that double-sided carpet tape. So that was a Rosemary learning. This is from Rosemary. Little scissor prints that say handmade. And some ribbon here, some pretty ribbon. That will go in the journal. Oh, there's more. And I'm pretty sure this entire bag is from Rosemary because she sent us scissors, some bulb pins, a little rose. These are all embellishments that can go in here. I haven't taken them out because I don't want to lose them. There's some spools there you can wind thread on. Here's a little felt piece I think meant for needles. And let's see, there's some bulb pins, and there's a little charm in there. Can't see it right now because it's all hooked together. Looks like a little ring there, and then there's another little charm in there. I'm not going to take it out, but there's a little scissor thing in there. Here's some more. I'm pretty sure I'm not sure where this came from because I was using this. I think this is some of it came from Rosemary and some of it is mine, but there's some little strips of words there. That's not mine, but I think this ribbon thing here is mine. I don't know, she might have sent that. I don't know where that came from. Looks like a little telephone on a fabric there. Oh, that just doesn't end. Here's some more fabric pieces that I was using when I was putting down on the pages of the book. Here's a package of buttons and tags. I know these came from Rosemary. I'll be using them. I just haven't looked. It's got an M in there. Some spools, some wooden spools, and wooden flat ones. Here's a little dress form piece. Little swimsuit. Little iron. They're so cute. Let's see if I can't put that in there flat. Kind of gets bent in there. And here we're getting back to where I was getting pieces for the book. I had some pieces like that, some fabric text. Here's a little cluster. I don't think I did this. I think this was sent to me. And here's some more text fabric. This was a doily. I think I cut this up here when I was deciding what I wanted to do for the pages. This cluster can go in there. I got 2 clusters. Maybe I did make these. I don't remember if these were sent to me. It says Mary on there, so I think these might have come from Rosemary, or somebody sent these to me. I'm not sure where I got them. I don't remember making these, but since it says Mary there, I might have gotten these in an auction, or I might have just, they might have come from Rose. I forget. After a while, I forget where things come. Here's some more ribbon. Some more. I think I did this one because I put a penny on there. I think this one's mine. I think I was making clusters one day. I'm not sure where I got those. Here's some black sparkly felt. Here I was playing with little pattern dress on a strip. I think this is just one strip. Was I playing with this, or was it sent to me? I don't remember. This might have been sent to me. This might have been a Rosemary thing too. I forget. After a while, I forget. Here's some linen. I'm going to save that out. This I know came from Rosemary. This will go in there eventually. I'm out of frame here. This came from Rosemary. These are some of the pieces that she sent. Here's some fabric yardage. I think I cut the bird out of this piece and I saved the rest. Here's some scrapbook paper with the spools of thread. Here's a larger piece. I think this either came from Kathy Berger or Rosemary. I can't remember which. Here's some, I think that might have come from Rosemary, because here's some sashiko that's done beautiful. But look at even there. Even on here, they went curved there. So they goofed a little there. All these others are nice and even, but so, all right. It's nice and straight on this side. Isn't that beautiful? And here's a piece of a bark cloth. I'm pretty sure all this came from Rosemary. And here's some, and I don't know where I got this. I won't even venture to say. It's some patterns, gift wrap. And that might have come from Rosemary, because this is all Rosemary's. This is all Rosemary's stuff here. These are just to put in the journal. And I haven't got to the point to where I'm ready to put them in yet. This was probably meant as a page, but I'll probably do something with it. I'm not sure. So I got a lot to work with. These are my scissors. Oh dear. So let's put all this back. And then there's something else that I want to do yet today. What time is it? It's 7:48. I got time. I've only been on a couple hours. I've only been here a couple hours. I think I made these clusters. I do think, because I remember that penny. So I've already got some clusters going here. So Rosemary says, you don't use my stuff. It's because I haven't got ready to use it yet. I got a lot of Rosemary to put in here. Let's put that one down there. Let's put these, let's start putting these in the bag. And I've got more, believe me, I've got more. I was looking at, was it this? No, that's here. These are different. I think this is probably, I'm not sure where I got it, but this is more of that sashiko. If I can get in there. Some more sashiko. And, well, this is, look at that. And I think this is my piece. Here's a cut piece of lace. Here's some more. I think this was from making the dolls. I was going to use some of this to make, see, I have a doll that I started here, and I didn't like the shape of it, so I never finished it. But I'm going to put this piece in here. And maybe maybe I'll just put this whole thing in here. I probably won't use all of this, I think I'll put those in there and put this back in here. Because this was more when I was doing those dolls. Ah, I'm thirsty. Well, you got all sort of tea and water. I ate those Chex Mix last night. I shouldn't have eaten them. Now I'm thirsty. They're salty. That's why I eat them. I love the salt. All right, I'm going to put this in here. Let's see. Yeah, I even saved the tiny scraps. Let's put these on here like that. These are embellished bags of embellishments. Let's see if I can get this in here. How fat will this journal be? It'll be a fat one if I use all of this. But, you know, even if I don't use it all, even if I don't use it all, I have more for another one. And I'm slow about using it. I'm slow about using it because this was September of last year. All right, let's put these cards and this. I'm going to put them in here. Keep them flat. And a sack of embellishments. So these are things that you can use when you build a slow stitch or a fabric journal. I'm doing slow stitching in my fabric caboodle. And I just do it. I do it when I get in the mood. I do it when I get in the mood. Like so. Keep those flat. And we'll put that there. And that goes in there. And there we go. Now I have one more thing I want to do this morning. Let me close this up. I think I got it. Okay. And I usually put this over in my cart, over here. Sometimes I take it out by my recliner. I have one more thing that I want to do. And I pulled this piece of linen out. And, oh, this needs to go in that bag. No, that needs to go in the book. Wherever I put my book. I put it over to the side. Let's put this in the book. Or just tuck it in on the front page. I'll put it in later. I just don't want it to get lost. I don't want it to get separated. There. So this is what I'm working on, and it's already fat. Just imagine when I start putting embellishments in there. I might have to have wraparounds on every page. I might have to extend it. All right. And I was going to keep this out. I want that graph paper that I showed you. Where did it fly off to? Oh, here, you can look at my scissors. While I'm looking for my graph paper. I had it out here. I must have put it over on this side. Here it is. What I want to do here, and I'll probably have to zoom out a little bit more. And I got this pen out because it does not soak through as bad. I don't know, this paper is a little thinner than that other paper. Let me zoom out. Zoop. Whoops, it popped up again. There. A little better. I am going to chart out a little pair of scissors. Now, since this is, usually I have smaller quad paper, but this will work for today. And I'm going to number these. 1, oops, this is a new pen. take the wax off of here. Hi, Johnny. Good morning, Johnny. Hi, Mary, too. Hi, Derby Crafts. Good morning. Hi, Teresa. Good morning to all of those who joined me that I haven't been. I've been in my own world showing you. Allison's here. Sylvia's here. Hi, Sylvia. Good morning. Gail. Good morning, Gail. Mitzi. I'm just looking at names. I'm not reading the chat. Derby, Whispering Cauldron. Derby, Junk Journal Shop is Johnny. Good morning, Johnny. Arlene. Gail. I think I said Suzanne Hale. Hi, Suze. Good morning, Suze. Gail. I just want to say good morning. There's Deborah, River City Creative. Good morning, Deborah, if you're out there listening. Aw, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Gail says, good morning, Mary. I fell asleep to you last night, and I woke up to you this morning. You have to be tired. I'm a little tired, but I woke up. I woke up when the alarm went off, and I got up. Okay, I'm going down to the bottom here. If I miss saying good morning to you, this is your good morning. Good morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 squares across this page. I want to show this again to those of you who came in later. This is a piece that I stitched in 2013. Let me hold it up. And I gave it to a friend in an ornament swap. I've shown this before. It was a fall piece. And it's a scissors here. This is a scissors, and I've got a pumpkin and it's kind of like, you know, like you tuck your scissors down behind your embellishment. There's a pumpkin and a sunflower, and then there's a ribbon coming down and some fall leaves in there. This is all stitched over one, and I don't know the count of fabric. It might be 28 count. And it's got a fall on the piece here. I sent this to her as part of a swap. This is the hanger here. And then this is that twisted, if you can find with the twist, not all of it with the twist is able to ravel out. But what I do when I make my tassel is I'll have pieces that hang down here that look like this, and then I'll stitch it all the way around. This is an added piece. I'll stitch it all the way around and then bring the other piece down and make my tassel, and then I'll unbraid this trim, and that's what makes this fluffy part of the tassel. Put a ribbon on it, and there's a little charm in there, a little fall leaf charm right there. And but I designed this piece, and then there's some sampler stitches. This is supposed to be a sampler behind with the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I designed this, and then I did some little sampler. Oh, I forgot to show there's a square stitch there. I forgot to show that this morning. There's a square stitch. There's a square stitch, a queen stitch. This blue row are queen stitches. These are cross stitches, and then the top row is just a plain satin stitch. So there's 4 stitches for you there, Susan, if you're out there listening. Hi, Tina. And so what I want to do here is just do a basic black scissors, but they won't be as long because I think this whole length of this in stitches over one is 96 stitches in length. Well, I don't have 96 going this. I could just bring it down, but I'll show you what I'm going to do here. Let's number them this way. 1, 2, 3. And I used to do these scissors in all sorts of designs. I have a whole stack of patterns that I used to have that on the internet. I took them all down because people were stealing them and selling them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got to concentrate on what I'm doing. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I wish I had my red pen out, but I don't. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I'll probably about 35 this way, I'm guessing. 23, 24, 25, maybe 40. We'll see. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. There's 42, 40, 41, and 42. Now, I have 30 stitches that way and 42 stitches this way. And let's write on the back of this. I don't know if I want to write on that. Let's get a piece of scratch paper. We'll write on the back of this. So, if I have 9 and 9, that's 18. So that's 30. That only leaves me 6 stitches there and 6 there and there. So I'm going to shorten that to 6. 6 and 6. So that's 12. 30 from 12 is 18. That's good. And then I think I'm going to leave maybe 4 stitches in there. So that leaves me, let's put 6 plus 6. The middle is 4. So that's 22. That leaves me 4 stitches on each side. Just for this pattern, just to fit the paper. If I stitch it on a piece of fabric like this, you know, I'll have plenty of space. This is pretty small, though. I don't know if I want to stitch it on this. I might get out that monk's cloth and stitch it on the monk's cloth, because this is pretty. I could do it on this if I was alone. This looks like it's 28 or 30 count. Probably 28 count. I'll get out that monk's cloth and stitch it on that. So that leaves me 4 stitches here. So I'm going to go in 4. And okay, so that's horizontally. For vertically, I have to, if I have 6 there, I'll probably have a stitch there, and 4 there. So vertically, I'm going to come down this way like this. I'm doing my scissors handle here. I don't know if you guys can see that because I'm pretty zoomed out there. So I'm just going to have a little half stitch there, 4 stitches there, a half stitch there. Now I have to figure out, I have 42 stitches coming down here. I have to figure out what I want for my shanks in here. And what I want in here. I think I'm just going to do a little, for this I'm just going to do a little square in there. And then it'll repeat on the other side, whatever I figure out for here. This is 4, 1 and 1, so that makes 6. And then I'm going to bring the pieces down just like that. And they're just going to be, it's going to be closed scissors. I could open them up, but I'm not going to fool with that this morning. And we might leave a little thread in there. I don't know. I don't tend to do that. I tend just to make this longer. And then this will come like that, Another 4, 1, 1. So I've got 42. Let's say I leave 4 up here just to fit it on the paper. I really don't need 4. I could get away with 3. But like I said, once I put it on a piece of fabric, it won't matter because I'll leave enough space on the fabric for it to fit. I just want it to fit this page. And I got a piece of tape on there. Washi tape or something. So this is 42. If I make this, I want it fairly long. If I add I think I'm going to leave 3 here. 3 and 3. So that's 6. 42 from 6 is 36. So that's for the border. And if I come up with 2/3 of the way, that would leave me 12 left, right? No, wait, I divided that. I need to divide it by 3. If I divide this design by 3, I'll have 12. If I come up to here with 24, that would leave me 12 in there. If I make it 6 again, this will be square. If I make it 8, 9. I think I'll get away with that, 9, because I have 12 left. I've got 12, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's make this 8 stitches here. Oh, I got this one too, 8, 1, and 1. So I got 10 stitches here, but that's okay. So I got, let's figure it up again. I got 42 stitches on my page, minus 3 for the border. I'm just fitting it on my page is what I'm doing. Minus 3 for the borders on top and bottom. So that leaves me that's not right. That's 6. 6? Yes, that's right. 36 stitches. If I come down 10 stitches for this part, so I've got 26 stitches for all of this. So 26 stitches for all of this. If I come down 2 stitches this way, make 2 little stitches that way, so that's 2. Let's just write it up there, 2. If I come down 2 stitches, maybe 3 this way, that's 5. And so, what did I say, 26? I have 21 stitches left for this. So if I have 21 here, I'll make maybe this as 18. So, how did I figure that? 2 there and 3. So we're going to subtract 5 from this. That counts for this 2 and this 3. So that makes it 21. The shorter piece here is going to be 18, and the longer piece is going to be 21. So 18 for the shorter piece here, and I'll do a slant. I might make it 17, and the slant would be 17 plus slant. And then the longer piece will be 21 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to translate that over here. I went in 4 over here, and then I have a half stitch there, and now I can just start charting. I wanted to come down 3 though. My half stitch is there. I already made a mistake. Let's color that out. I already made a mistake on my chart. I'll probably make a lot of mistakes by the time I'm done. Let's just color that out. All right, there's a half stitch there. Okay, now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's wrong. A half stitch here. I was right the first time. And I only left 2 up there. I was right the first time, but that's okay. We'll leave 2. That'll be fine. Let's color this out and bring this down like that. There's a half stitch there and a half stitch here. And then I come over here and I go down, what did I say, 8. So 1, I went over that white out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the rest should be easy. A slant there, and then 1, 2. Yeah, that's what I did, because I got 10, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a slant here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, in between here, I think I left 4 stitches in between the middle. I'm pretty sure I did 4. I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want to repeat it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slant in, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can buy cross-stitch programs. I had one that I was using years ago, and when I moved down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I moved down here, I didn't bring the laptop. I bought a license. I could probably contact the guy and say I want updated software, but it needs to be on the laptop and all of that. And for what I do, sometimes it helps me just to work it out this way. The old-fashioned way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I brought in 2 stitches from that corner in. So 1, 2, and 1, 2. So these will be just back stitches there. And I have 1, 2, 3. I think I'm actually going to bring this out a little bit more. Just makes sense to me. And then I came down 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And these will be, I think I'm going to color these in for my practice. You could leave this little area blank, depending on what you wanted. I might leave it blank. Let's just wipe this out. We'll just leave that blank, make a little oval there. All right, in here, I want to go down 18, but I need to center this. I should actually have 1, 2, 3. I really want, I think I want this out one more. Let's try that. I might have to white out again because I want this even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that works. So where's my white out? Now, remember, this is just me working up the design. And it works for me. All right, then I'm going to center my pieces. I have a space there and a space there. No, that's not working for me. One of these is going to have to be odd. I think I'll make it here. I think I'll make this skinnier and this wider. So this will be 2 coming down 21 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know if I'm going to get 21 on here. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I got 1 down here. That's okay. It fits on the page. Now I want 2 rows of these here. And this is the longer row. I could actually make this one a little short and slant it up with 3. That's what I'll do. So we'll come down maybe to there and make that a 1/2 stitch. That's what I'll do. There's always a way out. And then this one will be shorter yet. 1. And you could make this a little bit lighter color, make this a little bit darker here. Let's just shade these in. And make a little bit, just, I don't know if I will, but you could make this a little bit lighter color so it would look like it was a different part, a different blade of your scissors. I could put dots in there, but I'm going to continue making X's. And let's slant it let's slant it there. And we could slant this one too and white that one out. I don't tend to do that, but I'm going to on this. Let's white these out and slant that one and leave. And your thread, when you stitch over one, your thread will cover that up. You could just block it too, but, and then this, my whiteout isn't dry yet. There. So there basically is my pattern. Now this is a very basic pattern and it's not as long. I like a really long needlework piece. Like I said, from here to here on that piece that I showed you, that fall piece was 96 stitches. Here it's only 40. So my pattern for that other piece stitched over one was double, because if you double 42 and 42 is 84. So this is half of what that other is. I'm going to stitch this, I think, on, let me pull it out. I have it here behind me. I think I'm going to, is it in here? Did I pull it out? No, it's in here. Just to play. That's what I'm doing this morning. I'm just playing. And I think I'm going to stitch it with that, but I was at the thrift store. I'm not going to use the invert. Well, I'll show you what I'm going to use. Let me go over and get it. I was at the thrift store. Let me pull it. Hold the phone here. And put it in here. I have it in my hand. Whoops. I dropped some wax paper. And it's down at the bottom of the bag. I'm going to stitch it with this. And I got this, it's a floss, but it's a different floss than I'm used to using. And I'm going to stitch it on this monk's cloth. And I might, even though I designed this short, when I actually stitch this, I might just continue bringing it down on this. It just depends on how it looks. And I'm just going to sit here, and this can be, this is cross stitch, but it also is slow stitch. And look, I'm not going to use this, but look, I got this. I got two of these Italian cotton. If this were a little darker, you know, you could dye this, but I'm not going to. I'll put it on a darker fabric. But this is cool. I'll do some slow stitching. I got two of these for 50 cents a piece. It was Lee Ward's, but it's Italian cotton. Interesting. All right. So this really won't take me too long to do, honest. And it's only 8:18. I might start on this. I don't know if I want to go any later than 9 or 10. All right, let's get this piece out of the way. I'll put this in my journal because that's me figuring things out. And I'm not going to try to center or anything here. I'm just going to come over here. This is monk's cloth. So I call this, it's really a glorified burlap, or it's really wonky fabric, if you ask me. I don't like to stitch fine needlework on it. It's not made for that. And let's see if I can find a decent needle to stitch with. I might have to pull one out. I like that one I was using for, let's go into my drawer here. See if I can't find a decent needle to stitch with. Look, I got a really long needle there that I could have used last night. No, Mary, do the mountains. Rosemary came in and saved my day. Although I kind of liked where I was going on that. I think I could have done it. let's try this needle here. Oh, it's got a little eye. That's why it's in there. It's got a smaller eye than I want. Now, come on, where are all my needles when I want them? Let's find a decent one to use. These are sharps. Embroidery needles, you really need you don't really want a sharp needle. I don't know if I have any embroidery needles in here. I got sewing machine needles. I got the curved needle. Oh, let's go with those. I got a whole package of them. Let's see. What I was looking at one of these. Let's try this one right here. See how it works. I think that'll work. I prefer the bigger crafty needles for what I do. Not for the stitching, but when I'm doing my book binding and stuff like that. Now, I'm not even going to, because I know I'm only allowing 6 stitches for each scissor, so I'm just going to come right in here. And I'm just playing. I'm just playing. And I think if I can get it through the eye of the needle, is this, let's see how many strands. I think this is 6 strands. I think I'm going to do 3 if I can find the beginning. This is, I got this at the thrift store, so I have to figure things out here. Find the beginning of this. Where's the beginning? I might have to pull it off to find it. It's not there. Is it in here? Ah, is that it? No? Where'd the beginning of it go to? Let's try another one. It's hard to find the beginning. Is that it? Oh, I think I'm going to have to pull it off of the label. Let's do that. I don't want to fool around. I don't know where the beginning of this is. They hid it. They hid it. Yes, I'll have to wind that up, but I'm just going to snip off a piece. Gosh. I still don't see it. There it is right there. Still, it's pretty hard to see right there. All right. So let's get a piece about 18 inches is about all you want. Snip that off. What I did with my scissors are probably over here under everything. Yep. And I might have to zoom in again when I do this. About 18 inches. I might go a little longer because I'm going to park the thread. All right. And very carefully, I'll have to wind that back up, but I'm not going to do it here. See, here's my fall piece again. I'm going to put that aside. And let's put my chart over here. And I think I'll zoom in. Now, I can't decide if I want to try to do all 6. 6 would work on this fabric, but I think I'll split it. And I got white out on my finger. I think, let's see how many strands are on here. Kind of poofs them out a little so you can see how many strands are there. Yeah, there's 6 strands on here. So when you separate your floss, you kind of want to poof it out at the end. This is a cross stitcher thing. or I don't like to call them cross stitchers. They're fabric artists. I tell my friends that I stitch with, I said, you guys are not just cross stitchers. You guys are, because they do beautiful, beautiful work. I don't even come close. You see how I poofed that all out there? And so when you separate your floss, you just want to pull it one strand at a time. You pull it out, pull out the next one, maybe straighten that out again, but kind of hold it there and just pull. And the reason you're separating it is because it kind of has a twist in there. And if you separate it, you're separating it out from the twist. Now and you even want to separate the remaining 3 pieces, but we're not going to do that right now. We just need 1. Now, I'm going to put this piece, I think I'll give it to Penelope. Hold on to that for me, would you? I put it on her long needle. And let's zoom in so you guys can see a little better. Is that enough? Maybe it's too much. There. And oops. I'm just stitching on now a lot of stitchers will use Q-snaps or embroidery hoops. I stitch in hand, which means that I hold my fabric in my hand. So you put these 3 back together like that and hope that it goes through the eye of that needle. I think it will. And just kind of straighten out your thread like so, like that. Now I'm going to snip this just so that they're even, or pretty even. And yeah, I put a little DNA on there. Sorry, I do. Thread your needle. Put it through like that. Now, I'm going to do what they call park my thread in needlework. And what you do is you just come up into the border and you just take some running stitches because you're going to pull these out. Just like that. I may be in a little high. All right, and needle workers will traditionally leave a 3-inch border around their design if they're going to frame it. Well, I make ornaments out of mine, so, you know, I just kind of go down 1 inch or so. And I go in, and now I'm going to do my 6 stitches. And this part will be these stitches will be pulled out and tucked under. We can pull it in a little bit more here. But this is called a parked thread. This is called a parked thread. We'll take these out when I'm done with my row, and then we'll tuck them under. So I'm going to come up, back down in there, and I stitch in hand, and it's a little bit harder to show you online because of the lighting, and sometimes I have to get this up to my face to see where I'm going. So if I don't get it exactly right, please forgive me. All right, and then I come back down into this one here, into there as neat as possible. Now I have 3 stands on here, but I am stitching on monk's cloth. If you're stitching on a finer linen, if you're stitching over 2, you typically want 2 strands of embroidery floss, and if you're stitching over 1, you only want 1 strand. Now, because this is monk's cloth, the holes get a little wonky in there. So it comes in here, I believe, yes, right in there. So I'm going across my row from right to left. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now, on this big piece of fabric, this will look like a little pair of scissors, but that's okay. And my thread gets in the way here of my next. I would prefer, I'm just using what I have on hand. I have some, that piece of linen, this is too small for me to do online and see what I'm doing. I have to have a magnifier to see that. I prefer stitching on a stiffer 18 count linen for something like this, maybe a 20 count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my last stitch here. This is 6 stitches. I've done this row right here. Whoops, you guys can't see it. I've done this row right here. Right there. Half of it. Half of it. I'm going back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to go in there. Now what I do is I bring my needle down, just down, and typically if I'm working by myself, I will turn this whole piece of fabric around. See if I can still keep it in frame. I think I'm in frame. And I'll go back this way. So let's see if I can hit the right little holes in there. On this monk's cloth, it's kind of hard because it's a looser weave. And sometimes your needle wants to go in places you don't want it to go. So there's 1, 2. And this is basic cross stitch, but let me show you after I get done with this row. Three. I haven't stitched in a, well, I stitch on Monday afternoons with my friends, but I don't stitch as much as I used to. 4. And I've forgotten a lot. I've forgotten a lot. And my friends know I've forgotten a lot. 5. That's my 5th stitch. And you go in 1 here. Now let me show you the back. Let me go in, pull it through like that. So there's the front of it. Let me bring it up and show it to you. Here's the front of it here. And those are just basic cross stitches, but when you turn it over, what you have is a row of stitches there, and that, by the time you're done, this looks like it's a reverse. It's reversible cross stitch is what it is. This is just a line of cross stitch there. It's not just little up and down stitches. Sometimes when you cross stitch, a lot of cross stitchers do not do the reversible stuff. I like to do the reversible. Now, I only allowed a half stitch. I only allowed a half stitch here. I might make that a full stitch. Let's get my pen out. I might make this one a full stitch here. I think on this fabric, you can make it either on a thinner fabric. You may not want a full stitch there, but I think on this thicker fabric, I'm going to make those pieces full stitches. So, what time is it? It's 8:30. I've got time. So now I'm just going to come down 1 right in here. Let's see, let me get in frame. Am I in frame? Yeah, I'm in frame. And come right in there. Now I'm only going to do, there's only one stitch on this row. So I'm going to go in there. And yeah, that's right. And in here. And I'm doing what you call stitching in hand. You can buy Q-snaps or you can use embroidery hoops. I went to stitching in hand because I don't like the marks that are left. You can iron them out, but I tend to just like to stitch in hand. You know, I don't have to fool around with a lot of stuff. Now I'm going to do, see how I did this horizontal? Well, when I get to this row, I'm going to stitch vertical. And you can do the same technique vertically. Go in there. Do I need to be zoomed in a little bit more on these stitches? I don't know what you guys are seeing. All right, now I'm going to come down one row. And I think I allowed 8 stitches on the shank. I'm going to come down to my lower left and go up on the first row. Like that. I'm going to zoom in just a little while I'm stitching. When I move this fabric around, it gets a little hard, but I'm going to move in just a little bit more so you guys can see it better. There. I might get out of frame, but let me have a sip of tea. Ah, that tasted good. All right, so 1, and then I'm going to come down to the next row, the lower left, and you kind of have to, on this monk's cloth, you kind of have to watch where you're putting your needle because it's awful easy to split the threads here. 1, 2, now gotta see, I want to split that thread. 3. This is why you call it counted cross, because you're counting down. I don't like to call it counted cross stitch though. I like to call it fiber art. Because if you could see some of the work that my friends do, they, you know, they've stitched all their lives. And that's their hobby. That's what they do. They don't do art. Well, some of them might, but, you know, arts and crafts. Now, see, I didn't quite get that straight. I think it's okay, though. But these gals, I mean, and they invest in expensive, you know, I get things at the thrift store, both this monk's cloth and the embroidery floss, I invest at the thrift store. They go to needlework shops and buy beautiful linens. I used to. See, that one's a little off. Maybe I can correct it when I come up. Now, see how my thread is kind of twisted? My thread is kind of, well, you can't see. But I'll take my needle, and you can't see me doing this, but I'll let it hang. And as I let my needle hang, it'll untwist that thread. Now let me get back in frame here. Let me get back in frame so you guys can see I got out of frame. I'm waiting for my laptop to catch up with me. All right, I think I'm in frame. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm halfway down the row. I'm on my 5th stitch. 5. And, you know, once you get, when you're working alone and you get into a rhythm, of stitching. I'm talking to you guys as I'm going, so my rhythm is not really there. Just like crocheting, you get into this rhythm of stitching, and before you know it, if some of these gals, they'll stitch, well, the gal that works for the designer, she does model stitching. And she'll put in 8-10 hours a day in stitching. It's almost like her job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 2 more. So let's see if I can get it here with. It's harder when I do this online because I have to stay in frame, and there it is. 7. This is my 7th one. And these are just plain cross stitches. I could do some fancy work on here, but I think I'll save that. 1, 2, 3. So I need 1 more stitch. 8. And then we'll go back. Well, no, we'll do this. Well, I could just do half stitches all the way around and reverse, but I think I'll go back. Just to have full stitches. Let me get it in there. And a lot of you already know all this. I'm not telling new stuff to anybody who's already done this. Is very basic. But wouldn't this, when I get these scissors done, won't they make a nice addition to my fabric book? All right, I'm going to do 1 more stitch. I'm going to do, like I did the top one here, I'm going to do a bottom one there. And then I'm going to go back up. I traditionally go clear around, but just so you can see the completed stitches, I'm going to go back up. Be careful where I'm putting my needle. And I've got a lot of thread left on my needle. Try to keep it in frame. It's hard to keep it in frame and see where I'm going. Now I'm going to come over here to the top left and go down to the lower right on this bottom stitch. I'm going to go down into here, right into there. And then I'm going to come up to this bottom row, and I'm going to come up to the top left. Now, when you put your needle through a hole, a space where there's already a thread where you stitched, in needlework, that's called, sometimes called a dirty stitch, because I've already put this slant from left to right into there, but I had to come up through there, so that's called a dirty stitch. I don't know why they call it dirty. I guess because there's 2 threads coming through the same hole. Well, that's not the same as what's going on down here. That's called a clean stitch, I guess. One's dirty and one's clean. It's because there's already a thread in there. All right, then I'm going to come back up to the above row. And what I'm doing is I'm making that reversible stitch on the back, because on the back side, it goes from here up to there, and it covers those spaces. My thread is twisted again here. And your thread will twist on you as you stitch because you're going in and out on your fabric. I need to go right into this space here. And pull that down like that. And then this is the row that I had, that one that was a little bit off. It's in the right places, but it's just a little off for me. And I'll see if I can't. By the time you get the other stitch in there, let's see if I can't come back through the same space, or almost the same space. There. And down to the lower right. Through in there. Now, it's still a little wonky there, but it's just a cross stitch. It'll go in my fabric journal with all the other wonky stuff. All right, now I'm on this one right here. So when I come up through, it's hard to see when I'm stitching on camera because I want to keep it in frame, and I'm still not in frame, am I? There. And down. And there. And you do, as you get to stitching, you get into a rhythm. And sometimes that rhythm, you'll get into such a rhythm that you aren't paying attention to what you're doing. And I find on this fabric, you have to be careful where you're putting that needle through these holes because it's wonky. And I think that would be the same way if you stretched it on Q-snaps or something. It's just the nature. The fabric is a loose weave fabric. Put it through there. That looks pretty good. And my needle's getting twisty here. My thread's getting twisty on my needle. Down through there. Now, this is pretty slow stitching here, but that's what we're doing today is slow stitching. Stitchers will, especially if they're experienced, will go much faster than what I'm doing. Is that right? And there. Now I seem to get out of frame. Whoops, now I'm way out of frame. I'm way up above. Let's move it down. Now I'm too low. There. I have to wait for my tablet to catch up with me. No, down a little. I should mark it, shouldn't I? There. All right, right here, Mary, don't move. Right there. I've just got a couple of stitches left here. In here. And then you can, without, you can go from one point to the other without, but I don't like to do that because I like to see, it has a different tug to it for me. If you do that, you want to do it on all of them. So that your stitches look fairly even. Right in there. Down here. And I want this to look fairly decent because I'm doing it online. Up here. And my thread is twisty. Look how twisty that is. I'm going to hold it up and unravel that thread after I get this stitch done, and you won't see that because I'm zoomed in. Is that in the right spot? I don't think so. Right in there. Alrighty, let's hold this. I think you can pretty well see it, but hold this up to you guys. There's the front of it, and here's the back. Now, this is the back, but see how it's reversed? See how it's reversed? And by the time you get this whole thing done, you have a reverse of what you've done on here. Yeah, this fabric is from the thrift store, and the thread is from the thrift store. Becky says there's so many ways to get started with not a lot of expense. Now you guys aren't going to see me untwist my thread, but it's so twisty I have to hold it up and let my needle fall and let it untwist a little here. I don't know what you guys are seeing. You're just seeing the... All right, let's turn it over on the back. Now, I don't normally come back up. I normally keep going around and then I'll reverse. But because I came back up, I'm going to thread my thread through these 6 stitches, and it'll just pad these stitches a little. It won't hurt for what I'm doing. So I threaded my needle through those 6 stitches, and I'm going to go do the other side. And let's turn it around. Let's see if I can get back into frame here. Am I in frame? I think I am. And then I want to do 1 stitch down. And here again, I don't like calling this cross stitch. I just don't like calling it. It is cross stitch. The technique is cross stitch. But this is really, if you could see some of the beautiful, takes your breath away to see some of the work that these gals do. They are fabric artists. I tell them that and they go, oh, phew, I'm not a fabric artist. You know, they're humble about it. I'm going, no, you are a fabric artist. It isn't, you know, and the time and the hours that they put in, it's a lot. Now I'm going to the upper, I'll have a little cross stitch from here to here on the back, and I'll have that here, but that's just at the beginning of the row. That's just at the beginning of the row. And I could have brought this down, but I'm going to finish this stitch off. I'll finish this one off. I didn't do that on the other, did I? I don't remember what I did on the other. I guess I did. All right, now I'm coming from my upper left to my lower right. And sometimes you have, especially on linen, on this fabric, it doesn't matter so much because it's got several threads to a square. I think there's like three threads each way. Each little line has about 3 threads in there. So on this fabric, it doesn't matter so much. But if you're stitching on linen, you have to be careful whether you're going this way or that way when you start, because the weave only has 1 thread, and if you put your needle on the wrong side, it can pull through. That's all I can explain it. But I think I'm okay on this fabric going like this. All right. Am I doing it right though? No, I didn't want to go there on this. I want to come here to there and then down. Excuse me, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this stitch out. Where is it? It's over here. Can I get it? Yes. And this is typical to have to take a stitch out. This isn't anything. And if you stitch with your friends and things, you might be listening to what they're saying. You might be involved in a conversation and you might miss a stitch. You might have to take out a whole row of stitches. That's called frogging. They say the frog's here. Uh-oh. I have to put some DNA on my thread. Am I going to get it in there? Turn my needle the other way. Get in there. It's not going in. Come on. Don't make me snip you off again. There you go. All right. So I want to come from lower right to upper left on this. So I'm in this square right here. I'm coming through right there. And I'm going from lower right. And you want to keep your stitches. No, that isn't what I want to do either. I'm lying to you. I want to come from lower left to upper right. Let's just thread it through there. Because you want to keep your stitches all in the same direction. And if I would have gone right to left, I would have had my, on this side, I would have had my right hand stitches going over, and on this side, I would have had them going under. So we want to come from lower left to upper right. That's what I'm doing. Sorry, I almost messed up there. I caught myself. 1. And this part is not so much teaching you how to cross stitch, although I'm talking my way through this. I wanted to do this to show you what I went through, sort of, to design this. Now, this is not child's cross stitch here. This might be a little more child because it's bigger, but this is not child stitch. Believe me. This is. I tell my friends, I say, you guys are fiber artists. This, you know, when you put all those sampler stitches on there and you do all that, buy the fine linen and all of that, it's a fiber art. You are fiber artists. And this, of course, is slow stitching session. 1, 2. I tend to get a little fussy and a little perturbed when people downgrade cross-stitching and call it cross-stitching and think of it as a simple craft that children can do, when I see the beautiful work that's done that children don't do. I mean, maybe some children do way back in the 1700s, but I'm not talking about a little sunshine rainbow. You know, I'm talking about a beautiful sampler piece that spent hours and hours and hours doing. That's fiber art. And they do all those specialty threads and specialty stitches. I tell you, it takes my breath away when I see this. Of course, children can do cross stitch. I'm not downplaying what a cross stitch for children, but I get a little fussy when people think that all cross stitch is children's art. I get a little fussy about it. I'm sorry, I get fussy about it because I see what's going on out there, and it just takes my breath away. The expense that they put into it, and the time, and the beautiful pieces that evolve. It's not. It's an art, and my thread is getting twisty again here. If I can untwist this. Your thread has a natural twist as you stitch. And it is 8:58. I'm going to finish this handle here, and then I'll finish this offline. Let me go a little bit faster here because it's 8:58. I don't want to be on here all morning. Although I didn't come on at 4:30 this morning. I came on at 6, so I get a little extra time, don't I? Yes. Let me just go a little bit faster. I still want to go careful. And when I go faster, I tend to get more quiet. All right, now I'm ready to do this second row over here and make it come in. And my brother's up. I think he's reading the morning paper and doing his coughing and burping. Now, when I go across this way, because I still want these stitches to go from left to right, although I can either come down, but I'm going to go from right to left. And on this fabric, I think it's okay to do this, but on some fabrics that will not work. Your thread will pull through. But I think on this fabric I'll be okay because this is a stronger fabric. On some linens, you cannot do this. Instead of going from the lower left to the upper right, I'm coming the upper right down to the lower left. So you have to be conscious of the type of fabric you're using, the type of threads, the count. Oh, you know what? I goofed. I'm going to take all this. I'm going to frog. I goofed. You guys might have seen it. I didn't look at chat. You might have seen me goof. Hopefully I don't have to take out too many. Just 4, I think. I wasn't counting. I was talking. Now we're going to have to pull it on this side. Oh, and you guys aren't seeing anything, are you? There. I'm going to have to take these stitches out here. I don't know if you can see me take those out. I needed to go down one more because I didn't stitch this lower line. It would have been okay, but that's not where I was going with this. All right, let's take this stitch out. Now, lucky me, I caught that before I got done. Sometimes you get all the way to the end and you go, what did I do? And you have to, if you're conscientious, you pull it all out and redo it. But I didn't have a whole lot to pull out. I've got to rethread my needle again here. There we go. Okay. I needed to come down one more stitch here. I needed to come down one more stitch. I was trying to go fast. That's what happens when you're not watching. You're talking. Okay, now I go over one. And over one in here. Now I'm going to come from right to left in here. And this is what I'm saying. When you come from your, instead of your lower left up to your upper right on some fabrics, that will not work if you come from right to left. It will pull out of your, and it'll become a straight stitch instead of a cross stitch. But on this fabric, it's strong enough, it's got enough threads in there that it's going to hold. This is a monk's cloth that I'm stitching on. The fabric is called monk's cloth. And I got it at the thrift store. And the thread is an Italian cotton, I think. No, that was the other. The thread is Bacilla thread, 6 strand. I should have read my label. It was 6 strand. Do not remove this label. Pull thread out as needed. Yeah, you hid the thread from me, though. I had to remove the label to find the start. That's because I got it at the thrift store, I think. It's been through a lot. So there's 3. Whoops. See, now I didn't get in the right hole there. Can I go back through the same one? I don't know. We're going to try it. Whoops, I got a little extra stitch in there. I'm going to leave it. I didn't get through the right hole. It won't matter. It'll pull on this one because it's pretty wonky cloth. It'll pull. It's a little off. I'm not doing this right. Let's pull this out. Did I get that through? I didn't get that one through the right one either. Let's pull this one out. We don't want a whole bunch of wonky stitches. This is slow stitch. I'm going to try to be off of here by 9:30. This is slow stitching. This will just be the handle of my, and I wanted to show this more to show you how I designed, and you're not going to see the whole thing here, how I designed my, this is what I'm stitching in here. And of course I did this by hand. You can get computer aided, and I also tried a few phone applications, but they're not quite there yet with their phone. Well, I went wrong there too. I'm not paying attention. Let's pull that one out again. I'm not hitting the right hole there. I'm talking to you and thinking about the phone applications and trying to stitch all at the same time. I'm not reading chat. I can't do 4 things at once. I can maybe do 3. All right, let's go through the right space here. Right in there. But I tried a few, what I was telling you was I tried a few phone apps, mobile apps. I haven't tried recently. Maybe they've improved, but they were pretty wonky. Weren't quite there yet in terms of usability. I'll find a nice hole in there. One more stitch and then I can go back. All right. One more. There we go. Now let's go back. Maybe I can go back a little faster. Are you guys seeing it? Am I out of frame? That's the thing when you stitch. When I show you stuff close up, it's hard to stay in frame. And I'm going to go back. Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to do the poke method here. And I might run out of thread. I'll just go to the end of this thread. I don't know if I have enough. It takes a little bit more thread when you stitch this way. But I love the reversible nature of it. I was in college before I learned to cross stitch. I learned from a friend. We did a little jar lid, really pretty little jar lid. And I liked it so well that I started, no, don't do that, Mary, that I started doing other pieces. And I have several pieces that are still up in Wisconsin. I couldn't bring it all home with me. I brought a few pieces home with me. They're upstairs someplace. I'll have to get them out sometime and show them to you. Yeah, I'm getting toward the end of my thread here. I'd like to get this done. I don't know if I have enough. This is what we do. We go, you breathe. Am I gonna, I don't think I'm gonna have enough. You stitch till you're, you know, if you're smart, you would cut it off now and end it. But some of us say, I just got a few inches, I just got a few stitches left. and you keep going, and then you get in trouble at the very end. But I just have 6 stitches left. 6 half stitches, by the way. Make sure the lighting's not the best in here for stitching. The lighting is not the best. Oh, come on. Will I have enough? Boy, I'm pushing it here. I am pushing it. I'm going to end when I get this row done. I'm going to end my stream. Well, I'm going to go toward the end. I'll say goodbye to everybody. A few more stitches. Come on, can I do it? It's like she's coming down to the home stretch. 3 stitches. I should be able to. 1. Don't fall off my needle now. Did you see how that thread needle twisted as I went back down in? That's how your thread gets twisty, because you turn it like that and it twists the thread. It's got a natural twist to it. 1 more stitch. 1 more. I think I can do it. Boy, I'm just pushing it to the very end there. No, I didn't get in there. There. Now let's turn it over. And I think I'll come back this way on it. Put it through there and through. Really, I've got 2 threads going through that top row on the back. That makes it a little thick, but I'm going to do it. You probably wouldn't want to do that on a fine art piece if you're doing fine needlework. But boy, I'll tell you, I went right out to the end. I'm going to leave my needle in here. Let's cut this off, and I'll show it to you here in a minute. All right, let's flip it over and stand up. So I got 1 handle of my scissors stitched here. 1 handle. And here's how it looks on the back, if you're curious. Everybody's got to turn stitching over on the back. Does it have hanging threads? And see, I parked this thread. Now I'll pull this thread out. I'll pull out that parked thread here on the back, right in here. Come on, pull out. And then you won't, can you see that? Yeah, right there. This is my parked thread. I'll rethread my needle. I have to sit down to do this. I'll rethread my needle. And if you park a thread, you might want to leave a little bit more. Looks like I've only got 2 strands. Where's my other strand? It got stitched in there. Or did I not get it pulled out? Let's see. I didn't get it pulled out. Let's pull that other strand out. Oh, it got stitched in? Wait, it's here. I think part of that got, no, there it is. Whew. I was worried that maybe I stitched it in my design there. Let's even this out, snip the ends. And you guys aren't seeing it. And rethread my needle. Get in there. I'm not coming at the right angle. There we go. Get in there. Get in there. It's not. Come on. It's harder to thread a short thread than a long thread. Just letting you know. There. And all we want to do is run that back under these stitches on the back. So just run them under. And if you're doing fine needlework, if you're doing a piece that, well, if you're in competition, which I don't do, I don't like competing hobbies because I do it for fun. You probably don't want to go under 6 or 7 stitches. You want to go under 3 or 4. Enough to catch it. And it depends too if you're going to wash it. If you're going to do the piece that you're going to wash, you want to go under more. And I've even seen designers say, oh, take a little knot in there. I've even had instructors to tell me to take a little knot. Nobody cares, especially if you're doing it for yourself. Let's put my needle in here. So there is my handle. Let me zoom out. Zip. There's my handle right here. Now I'll finish. I think I'll make these cross stitches here too, because I think this fabric can handle it. On a linen it may not be able to, but I think on this fabric it can handle it. So I might finish this today and show it to you. Now it would be fun, wouldn't it be fun, to make this whole piece sampler? But the thing of it is, I did not leave 3 inches here, so it might be a little hard to frame. So I might just cut it off. But it would be fun to do other sample pieces on here. But on the other hand, I think I'll just do it as, but this is what I'm going for right here. And that's a little taste of what I did to do this. This is much more involved because I put the ABCs behind there. I've got 4 sampler stitches. I got the square stitch, the queen stitch, the cross stitch, and the satin stitch in there. And then these are just cross stitches, and I got a little bit of back stitching in there. And figured out my letters. And I had to figure out that I did this in 2013. This went to a friend in a swap, a dear friend. She was a stitcher. She did needlework. She designed needlework. But she passed away. And the only part that I don't like about this, you have to, this little part in here, that's actually a dark green. And it kind of blends in with my shank of my, or my handle of my scissors. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't stand out very well. But that's actually the stem of the pumpkin there. That's the only part I don't really, and then that doesn't bother me because I know what it is. But this is a little bit of what I went through to do this. So what else did I do this morning? I showed you, I did a flip of all the embellishments that are in here, and I finished this page. Let's get it out. on my slow stitch my fabric, which will take me years to finish probably. I did this stitching in here this morning. And that finishes this page in my fabric journal, except for the embellishments. So I'm going to leave this as my thumbnail. Now let me come out and say goodbye. Thank you to everybody who came in. Becky has, here's Lynn Morris. I thought it looked off by 1. I'm glad you caught it. Gotta go get stuff done, Carol says. Becky says goodbye to Carol. Becky says she's waiting for Scott to get up, then breakfast, and then we will be working on our little shed. Have a great weekend, all. Brenda says, have a great weekend, Becky. Teresa's here. She says, thank you, Mary. I've learned how to make a pattern. I may try your sister's pattern if that's okay. Yes, that is perfect, Teresa, if you're listening. This, I have done many, I call them complimentary charts versus free charts. People, when they hear free, they think that it's theirs. So this is a complimentary chart. I used to put these type of things out on the internet. I don't do that anymore. But anybody who wants to take this and work up their own design are free to do that. Make it your own. You know, and I know you will, just because we're artists. We can take and get inspired by somebody and do something like this, and whenever you do something, your own style peeks through. That's how come when I do Rosemary's Caboodles, myself comes through. It's not Rosemary, it's Rosemary inspired. And, I love Rosemary's Caboodles, but I do Mary, and I take it inspires what I do. I add my own stuff to it. But I still use it, especially in her Asian caboodle, because I don't have a lot of Asian. I'm going to pull this up a little so I can get the entire thing in my shot. And let's move Penelope over here. Okay, what else am I seeing here? Deborah Brown was in here. Deb, if you're listening. Oh, yeah, floss tube videos. There's beautiful work done on floss tube videos. Arlene had to leave. Mitzi said goodbye to Arlene. Sylvia had to leave. Here's where Deborah Brown came in. Yep, rip it, rip it, rip it. That's why they call it frogging. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Arlene says, Becky, my friend, an amazing stitcher, got one of those hospital blankets that have a big waffle weave, used it like Aida, and used yarn to cross stitch it. She made it beautiful. I'll bet it was. Hirschner's has a clearance section on their site. They're talking about thrift store stuff, frugal stitching, like yeah, I got this monk's cloth and you can do beautiful things if you get the right stuff, Let's see. I'm just reading up through chat until I can't read. Becky said, I printed off a cart for a little ballerina to do for my niece, Anastasia. Oh, that sounds pretty. This is where Becky came in. Where's Susan when Mary pulls out the big needles? Oh, dear. Yeah. Popo left when she saw those needles coming out. Arlene says, this has been the best week, but awesome. It was a Bible journaling conference. 2,000 women from around the world doing art in our Bibles. Oh, that's cool. Was that with Jan? Is it Jan Gray? Did you do that with Jan Gray? Wow, 2,000 women from around the world doing Bible art journaling. I'll bet that was cool. Here comes Tina. Janet Nash was in here. Arlene, Tina, Opages. Teresa was here. Kimberly was here. Derby Crafts. I'm just going through names, and if I missed anybody. Sylvia, Arlene, Allison. I think I lost some of you when I started stitching. So, Okay, have a great Saturday. I don't know who's going to be on this afternoon, but I do know that Beth Schuler comes on tonight. Tomorrow morning is Sunday. I'm trying to think. There used to be, what was her name? Oh, I lost track of her. I don't know if she's streaming in the mornings anymore. But Tanya will, if she streams, she's been helping her mother out quite a bit. I don't know if she's going to stream, but she usually comes on about 1 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. She's Central Time. 1 o'clock Central, Tanya McGuire on Sunday afternoons, and then I will come on at 6 p.m. And I think I'll either be working on the Caboodle, Inktober, or the recipe book. One of those three. I'm going to put my slow stitching away for a while, except I think I'll sit here and I think I will go out in my recliner and sit here and finish this scissors. And I'll show you that Sunday night. Goodbye, everybody. Happy Saturday. Make it a good one. Bye.